Hi, thanks for being here a new video. We are students of the UAEM ATLACOMULCO University Center. Today we'll present to the topic of taxonomy in creative process. Today presents my partner Gustavo Gonzalez Monroy and his server Marcos Adrian Gonzalez Garcia. The parts of the topic they will address are the following and one theme, what is a Bloom taxonomy? Characteristics of taxonomy. Creative process. According to authors, strength of Bloom taxonomy. Bloom received taxonomy. Bloom taxonomy important creative process. Conclusions and reference.
Uh, that is Bloom taxonomy is used to evaluate the level of knowledge acquired in area of subjects. It's a classification of objects carried of a hierarchical weight, organizes of the basic, the whether the activity requires more or less complex progressions.
Of taxonomy. A taxonomy is a theoretical or experimental conceptual model that classifies and analytic. Defined elements to check things process carried out would be a person or the define a complex structure and attributes. The model of the referential framework that includes a set of principles, structural rules, or relationships between elements or phenomena can also be considered with taxonomy. Systemations of creativity. Systematic creativity thinks in attributes of manifestations, the condition that produces in a favor it is a ever complex task that the being attempt be tackled by different process of creativity. Taxonomy is of creative types. One way to classify the types of creativity is to separate them with the predominated field in which they operate. Verbal mathematics and spatial and the combination process B. Dunning-Meyer 2004 of the result of clusters analyzing in a solver a qualification on experimental interest. Twitter limited science will depend on the academic or professional fields that are chosen. The taste of creativity should not be caused with the training and didactic techniques for of the explorer in perceptual visuals, written productions, interaction of the people, or teamwork. Input products, among others, that effectively can lead to the different creative process but one not charting them in a unique way. It must be recording the types of results. De Bono, en sus caracterizaciones del pensamiento lateral, provides the types of problems that can be directly associated with the types of creativity mobilized to solve them. One, information processing. The characteristic process use available information and gathers new information. In of the process predominantly governed by logical things on ability to collect synthesis information. Two, reconsideration of the information. The creative process consists in the realizing that by accepting of the of pipes. One is solving the processes of possibilities of better condition. In the case lateral things when avoiding information differ from initially provided. Three, restructuring of the information where the ability information must be modified and restructured process in a new parented list so that the solution it also requires lateral think. Stenberg targets the concepts and conventional paradigms and tries to extend them. In refers to abouting advances on the basis of state rules previously defined for types and included in this category. One and one, replication, with forces and copying improving the existent. One and two, redefinitions, which retains an object of the study of product form another purge. One and three, increasing for a word to increase the attributes of the object on product in a direction in which it's processed to advancing. One and four, Incremental advances with alone research and others have not always on the same basics. Two, creativity objects, conventionals and trips the reserve in activity tanks and thematics behavior and movement of the creative process. Two and one, the direction where creativity and the objectives or products for the current prime to direction and different. Um, Three, creativity synthesis conventional paradigms. It can be homologated with a dynamic approach where two or more creative approach and combined and liked to work together with a single type called integration. Stage a Bloom taxonomy.
Uh, this learning method is organized at different levels in which the student uses different tools to acquire knowledge and apply it. And Bloom's original taxonomy was reforms more of the student learning process to the series where the first layers of knowledge, understanding, and application were considered set concrete levels. Uh, Between the following levels, analysis and synthesis and evolution and considered abstract levels as requires in more in planning of ideas for course sometime in the 1990s forward students of Blom's origin Anderson with David Calwant reviews of Blom's taxonomy as published. Blom's reviews taxonomy in 2001. We can see the key change. The organisms of the name of the layers bit make it easy understand and the word because more of the creative part comes with having a final object and the part the creation of object from a series of steps to understand the ideas. Remember, the first change is remember that a consists of is a information retention and memory data of keywords of the reverse the objects in the instruction of the promotes retention of the ideal of the same why it thought for example where in the teacher concerns only of the learning teaching and evolution focus of remembering fragments of knowledge insulated from the context. This implies that the student modes appropriation, acknowledge, and events approve language. To do this, remember it reproduces of the correct language information from memory using the Zucalian basic memories data. To understand, it's a second stage. The understand explain the information and relate the data to familiar things. Give relax examples. The student must the tablet to direct the language the same before with some example. These are easier to twin to remember the information. For example, it's a call about success the most relate an exam internal loans is consists of the word the football and can the practical sports. It's short they must explain in your word the information they relate in the previous stage. Apply in the third stage of the objective is B. Use of producers apply previous knowledge Once of the students have investigation of the information, relate the most relevant and the create to explain of the ear knows words, the part where they most know, apply that knowledge of the real problems arise in order to verify that the learning was correct. For example, they were know the speed to perform multiplication of the application and it about the uh, to perform multiplication exercise analysis. Um, Once we know the application apply the information previous understood, it's a time for further analysis of your concept. For example, device and relative information distinguish parts of design structure. It's meant that we're going to compose a material intro these constraints parts and determination now the parts and the theories are related with a real constructor. It implies reform determining in important parts of information the which a ways in which the parts are organized and the internet purpose of the information the student does the following these breaking concepts though in some parts and describe now the parts relative to laws. For this we can identify cause effect evaluation or evaluate its concept assisting learning language check and examine if everything is correct. Uh, is concept of making judgments based of the critical and stance. The most used criteria are quality, identify effectivity, and substancy. They can determine of the students. Orders starts at the quantitative and applied to critical and no are evaluate only tools that with performance stances with learning dependency creative application student modes make judgment based of critical notes and in such a way that the student youth solves and converses comparisons criticals questions arguments evaluations decisions selects and justification. Finally, the way of the creation of the project contains the following. The scene sometimes they based on that you have learning. Put elements cutters to form a coherence of functional laws. And this consists of elements for a coherence in functional law to do is student make the price category from and sometimes names or organizes the components unnamed structure from taxonomy important increase progress in the engineer area is where the create part is present more to able the buildings performs a series of steps in following to facilitate the progress identification of problem definition of the object data collection and research, generation of ideas, analysis, development and tenses of a model, decision making, communication and specification, implementation and commercialization, finally preparation of reviews and evolution.
In conclusion, the potentiality of taxonomy cannot be impatient because the fallacy of ordering and classing a set of concepts, aspects or attributes based in creation indicates behind C that her in the situations of nothing having a generally accepted definitions of creativity. However, this does not prevent describing sets of attributes that characteristics in a 10 can help its promotions, identifications, evaluations, and study. Much remains to be done to have one more complete taxonomy for each chosen creations. The other is a compilation will serve and device for continuing with the classifications in other directions, among which we can mention dimensions for the creative process, internal or external conditions, or factors of to development of the creative act, didactic mentions, technique and proposals for learning creativity, domain-specific classifications, cognitivo, affective, socials, promotions, or cognitive. Good. Thanks for watching. See you next video.
Thanks. It's a reference.